All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to be addressing the question, how long does it take to find your first Amazon FBA product? And we're talking about private label in this video. And the reason I want to answer this question is it's one that pops up an awful lot. And people ask this question for different reasons. So in this video, I'm going to try and give you a few examples based on my own experience and also from working with hundreds, or actually probably thousands of sellers now over the past 6 years. So that if you're at the product research stage and you're questioning yourself, or you're questioning the method you're using, or even if you're questioning the Amazon FBA business model itself, hopefully it can give you some assurance that it should just be a matter of time until you find your first product. So let's start with me. When I was a beginner back in 2018, it probably took me up to 3 months, I would say, to finally pull the trigger on my first product. Now that process could have been quicker, but I had an initial product. I was going to launch picnic blankets and I was on the verge of ordering those in bulk. And then I was still a new seller, so still making mistakes. And at the last minute, I realized that picnic blankets had a major seasonality issue. And if I had ordered that bulk of inventory when I was ordering, I think it was around the April, May time, by the time they would have arrived, the UK summer would have basically been over. So at the last minute, I changed my mind and I launched a car boot liner, a car boot protector for dogs specifically. That was my first product. It was super successful. It did over £300,000 of revenue in the 3-4 years I was selling it before COVID completely destroyed that product and I could never actually relaunch it. So for me, I found a product, what I would say is on average for your average new seller. So for me, if I was searching at the moment, I could find a product probably within an hour. And I've actually just found one within half hour in preparation for this video. I'm going to show you that in a moment, just an example product I found super quickly. But for your average new seller, if you find your first product the same day you start Amazon FBA, there is a very high chance you've chosen a poor product. I would say that on average, based on my own experience of mentoring lots of people and seeing how many people come to me struggling with finding a product in the first place, most people that sign up for my mentorship, and I'm not trying to sell mentorship, by the way, at the moment. I am fully booked and I've got a waiting list. This video is not about mentorship. This is about giving you guys some examples of how long it potentially could take to keep you motivated if you are struggling. Most people that sign up for mentorship with me will send me the products that they are finding. I'll go back with my feedback. They'll learn from my feedback. They'll tweak their process. They'll often find a product within the first month. If not, really within the first 3 months, almost certainly. Now, I have worked with some people that have taken longer to find their first product, but often it's been the case that they've pursued a particular product and then during the process have realized actually that product isn't going to quite work out. So sometimes that's when it would stretch out a bit longer, just like it did with my first product when I changed it at the last moment. But I would certainly expect anyone starting Amazon FBA and committing time to understand how to find products and committing time to understand how to analyze products as well, to find a lot of people will find products within their first month of starting product research. And certainly I would expect probably 90% plus to find them within the first 3 months. Now, if you're at that 3 month mark and you're going over and you still haven't found your first product, I would be questioning what product research method you're using. Are you stuck in a particular rut or are you just trying everything and getting nowhere? So maybe look at consistency there. I would also consider what criteria that you are assessing it against. And I've got lots of videos covering that. I'll link to one at the end of this video, which talk you through the exact criteria that I use to find products. And I would also ask yourself whether you are looking for the perfect product, because that does not exist. I have lots of recommended criteria for products that will give you a good chance of succeeding on Amazon. But with any product, there's always going to be some sort of trade-off. So I'm going to show you an example of a product now that I found, which I think most new sellers, if they found, possibly would disregard. But I'm going to explain to you why, for me, I would consider it as a new seller, even though it's not perfect. The imperfectness actually presents an opportunity. So let me take it over to this niche. By the way, I am a dog person, so I have no interest in selling a cat tunnel. But this niche is very, very interesting. Let me bring up X-Ray from Helium 10 and look at the stats. So I filtered out the sponsored results like usual, just for anyone that's new to the channel. I'm then going to look at the seasonality. And the seasonality for this product over the past year is fairly consistent with a spike in December. That's absolutely fine. I love to see that. What I don't like to see is a big pickup for the winter months and a big slowdown for the summer months, or vice versa. So for example, maybe you're selling barbecue goods or picnic blankets, you'd see a nice slow winter, then a high peak in the summer. So I don't want to see that. I don't mind if there are elements of seasonality around particular events, but I don't want to see big seasonal periods because it's very difficult to manage inventory. The next thing I would then look at is for brand domination. And there's no standout brands here. You've got a couple of entry here from Fody Go-Go, but really there's no brand domination going on. I then want to see proof of demand above that £15 price point, preferably as close to £20 as possible, because below that, it's very difficult to make money on Amazon as a private label seller. And we have a seller here at £20, 382 units per month. These guys at £20 at 75 units per month, which isn't great. These guys here, $18.99, doing 161 units per month, and then $23.99 at 308 units per month, $24.99 at 106, $21.99 at 156. So what we've got evidence here. We've got evidence of at least 4 or 5 sellers or 6 sellers selling at or around that £20 price point and doing reasonable sales. And by reasonable sales, I would say for a new seller, you want to get into a niche where you're targeting maybe between 100 units per month if you haven't got much money for stock, or if you've got a slightly bigger budget, maybe up to 200 to 250, 300 units per month. If you've got a massive budget, I still wouldn't recommend picking a niche where you're going to be selling 500 to 1,000 units per month, as this is your first product. So don't take a massive risk that you don't need to take, even if you can afford it. A good range for a new seller is somewhere between 100 to 300 units per month. So this is why this niche, from my perspective, is actually a really good match for new sellers, because you haven't got any sellers at the top soaking up all the sales. Sometimes you'll see 1 or 2 sellers at the top with maybe 1,000 sales or 2,000 sales, and they're just absorbing all of the demand. Here, the demand is quite nicely spread amongst those kind of top 10 to 15 organic listings. Now, one bit of advice I need to row back from previous videos. Over the past year or two, I've talked a lot about looking for evidence of GB sellers selling on Amazon UK to show that it's possible for a GB seller to get ranked. And also, if it's all Chinese sellers, sometimes that suggests that the niche has been bottomed out and there's not much margin left. Well, I have to withdraw that advice because so many Chinese sellers are registering with GB addresses that even if it says GB here, there's a good chance it's still a Chinese seller. So unless you're going to go through each of these individually to check they actually are a legit GB seller, disregard that previous advice. Fees, I like to see the fees overall at a third or less of the overall selling price. So if you're selling at £20 and you've got fees of £6.66, that is a good match. That means the product is small and light enough to keep those fulfillment fees down. Next up, we have ratings and reviews, and this is always a controversial one. You'll see lots of historic advice on YouTube of people telling you to look for products with less than 100 reviews and stuff like that. Ignore that advice. What we're looking for is an opportunity. I don't care how many reviews a product has got if I believe I can launch a better product, because the customer is going to buy my product if I have a strong enough offering. What I prefer to avoid though is niches where lots of products have a 5-star average, because maintaining a 5-star average on Amazon is very, very difficult. 4.5 stars is absolutely fine. And to average 5 stars, the score needs to be 4.8 or above, of which none of these sellers are achieving that. So I know if I've got a decent product, I can come into this niche and then I can compete on the rating score. If I can get 4.5 stars, I've got a good chance of competing. Then we scroll over a bit further, and I want to make sure this product is small and light enough. So I want to avoid any of the oversized niches, as the fulfillment fees will skyrocket and then you won't be hitting that kind of 30% guideline of fees to sale price ratio. So most of these products are either large envelope or standard parcel, and that's because they're collapsible. So they look big in the photo, but they collapse. And they're all being offered by FBA, or the majority are FBA. If you see lots of FBA, again, that can suggest possibly the product is too big for the Amazon fulfillment centers. Not necessarily too big, but it's going to be too expensive to send them in to the Amazon fulfillment centers, and people are fulfilling them themselves with FBM instead of FBA. And then you can confirm all of that by looking at the exact dimensions. As we can see, these are reasonably kind of wide and long, but their depth is really, really short because they compress. And the weight is really low as well, which at the moment with shipping costs, container freight costs are skyrocketing still, unfortunately. You want to be going for the small and light products because that will reduce your overall cost. It reduces your financial risk and also increases your profit margins as well. And then finally, I do like to see maybe 1 or 2 entrants, new listings listed in the last year or so. So at the moment, it's the mid-2024. So I'd like to see a new listing, preferably within the last year. So 2023 into early 2024, I'd like to see a new listing. We've got one here, April 2023, which is just outside of that. Another one down here at December the 4th, 2023. So maybe not the clearest indicator, but like I say, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for just, do the core elements stack up? Is there demand? Is there price point? Is there opportunity? And that's one of the reasons why this imperfect niche appeals to me. Because if you ignore the sponsored listings, anything that's sponsored here, this is the #1 organic listing. And this product does not look great. I mean, you've got a cat, and a rabbit all badly photoshopped onto a fairly unattractive design. And then if we come down to some more of them, #2, these guys selling at $19.99 have actually done something different. They've got quite a nice grey fabric. I don't like the photography, but the product itself looks superior, and that's why they're doing well. Let's take a look at their demand. So these is Ohana at $19.99. I think these were doing all right, weren't they? And yeah, these guys are doing just under 400 units per month. So they're making decent profit. They've only got £6.66 of fees. They've brought a product to market that is different. It's just not pop out plastic. It's got a bit of, a bit of nice texture to it. And even with poor photography, they're doing all right. And you look at the competition. This looks awful. This looks awful. This looks awful. So that's why I'm saying sometimes a niche may not be perfect, but if the opportunity is there, then it's worth considering. So that's why I wanted to share this niche with you, because I think actually this would probably be a reasonable fit for a new seller, especially someone that's into cats and can understand how to develop this product to make it better. As a dog owner, I couldn't tell you really how to make this product better, so I probably wouldn't go into this niche. I always recommend people going into niches they understand or have an advantage in, so they can develop a superior product to what exists, which is mostly just Chinese factories just selling at the cheapest possible price. So you want to bring a superior product to market, just like Ohana have here at £20, and then you could probably soak up a good chunk of that demand. So hopefully that helps answer the question as to how long it should take you to find your first Amazon FBA product. To do so, you're going to need some sales estimator software. I recommend X-Ray from Helium 10. We've got 2 discount codes you can use. You've got FBA Elite 20. That will save you 20% off for your first 6 months, as you can see there. Or FBA Elite 10, that will save you 10% off forever. Or either code, tick the annual billing, and that will save you 25% off for the year. And that is the cheapest way to pay for Helium 10. Now, earlier on in the video, I mentioned that I have another video talking about the exact criteria that I use to analyze products on Amazon. I'm going to pop up that checklist now, and I'll see you guys over there.